Didi Gregorius had one of the most impossible tasks in baseball history. He had to replace Yankees legend Derek Jeter as their starting shortstop in the Bronx. Jeter had been a dominant force and a first ballot Hall of Famer for the Yankees for over a decade and a half, and replacing would be no easy task. That was not a challenge Gregorius took lightly, and he quickly went over the hearts of Yankees fans across the world. At times, Didi was one of the next exciting players in baseball, a top 100 prospect that had a lot of promise. After some time in Arizona, things maybe weren't looking so bright, but his time with the Yankees and afterwards with the Phillies really turned him into a superstar and a player that a lot of people, not only in the Yankees fandom, but around his home country of the Netherlands and also in Curacao, where he spent most of his time as a child, really started to adore Didi Gregorius for who he was. In this video, we'll dive into the career of Didi Gregorius, which has been over for almost 2 years now, which is crazy to think about, and see exactly what he's up to now after his time in Major League Baseball has come to a close. Before we begin, it would really mean a lot if you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to show me support, and will get you more baseball content, not only from me, but from awesome, really great baseball creators out there as well. Without further ado, let's dive into one of Curaçao's best baseball players, Didi Gregorius. Gregorius was born in Amsterdam in 1990 into a baseball family. His father pitched professionally in Holland, and his mother and grandfather both played for the Netherlands national team. When he was 5, he moved to Curacao as his father was going to go ahead and start playing baseball there, and that's where he spent most of his young life. Gregorius was first noticed in 2006 by Red Scout Jim Stockel, who was really interested in the tools he could provide. Unfortunately, in the baseball world, secrets aren't really kept very well, and Gregorius had a lot of interest in teams 2 years later when he finally signed with the Reds for $50,000. Teams like the Padres and Mariners were excited to have someone like Gregorius sign with them, but he decided to choose the Reds for one main reason. They were willing to send him past the Dominican Summer League and the Venezuelan Summer League, which where a lot of foreign-born players go to play baseball, and go straight into summer ball here in the US, which is a big jump for someone who at the time was only 18. As most international players are, it took him a little bit to go ahead and progress to the minor leagues, but at every level he put up solid numbers, even when he played in the Winter League, like when he played for the Canberra Cavalry in the Australian Baseball League in 2010. Before 2011, though, he got diagnosed with a chronic kidney condition, and that really hindered his ability to play. He felt lethargic, and things just weren't looking great for him. He became a vegetarian temporarily, and after just 2 months, he came back full strength, and that offseason got added to the Reds' 40-man roster to be protected from the Rule 5 draft. After representing Netherlands in the World Baseball Cup that offseason, he ended up winning the entire series with Netherlands, beating Cuba 2-1 in the finals, and every player on that team who had a clean record was knighted by the royal family of the Netherlands, which made him now Sir Didi Gregorius. He made his Major League debut as a September call-up in 2012 and played in 8 games before the season ended, getting his first Major League hit in time with Cincinnati. However, the rookie was left off the postseason roster for the NLDS as the Reds lost to the eventual World Series champion Giants in 5 games. He spent some time in the Arizona Fall League as well, where a certain man got very interested in him as a player, that being Diamondbacks GM Kevin Towers. He was enamored, and after watching him in the Arizona Fall League, he wanted him badly, even willing to trade his top prospect in order to get him. A huge 3-team deal was struck as Gregorius, MLB Pipeline's number 63 overall prospect, would be going from Cincinnati to Arizona, as Drew Stubbs would go from Cincinnati to Cleveland. Trevor Bauer, who was that top 20 prospect I was telling you about, would go from Arizona to the Indians at the time. Shin-Soo Choo would go from Cleveland to Cincinnati, and Didi again would end up in Arizona. Gregorius' time in Arizona was interesting to say the least. He hurt his elbow playing catch in spring training, not even playing in a game, and started 2013 rehabbing that elbow with an assignment to AAA Reno. He got called up almost immediately though when second baseman Aaron Hale fractured his hand. The first pitch he saw in 2013 turned into a home run, and 9 days later, he got hit on the head with a pitch and suffered a concussion that sidelined him for about a week. Across 103 games in 2013, he put up okay numbers, a 252, 332, 372 slash line was a 94 OPS plus, which is slightly below league average, and he also hit 7 home runs. Solid numbers for a rookie, but by no means were they earth-shattering. Heading into spring training 2014, he was battling for the starting shortstop position with Chris Owings, and it was told that he would make the opening day roster no matter what, but when push came to shove, Chris Owings won that job, and Gregorius was sent to AAA to start the season. It would take a while for him to get called up. In fact, it didn't happen until shortstop Cliff Pennington, who was the backup to Owings at the time, got injured in June, but after that he didn't look back. In 80 games, he had a 226, 290, 363 slash line, which was an 81 OPS plus, and he had some below average defense at shortstop. It seemed like things weren't really working out for Gregorius in Arizona, and with GM Kevin Towles fired in October, it seemed like a change of scenery was almost inevitable for the former top prospect. That opportunity struck in the end of 2014 as Derek Jeter had officially retired. The Yankees knew heading into 2014 this would be his last season, and heading into 2015 they now needed a new shortstop. Again, that new regime in Arizona meant a fresh start made a lot of sense as this GM got more of his players in. In that December, Didi was traded to the Yankees in his second 3-team deal. In this deal, Robbie Ray got sent from Detroit to Arizona, and Shane Green went from the Yankees to Detroit. 2015 was characterized by growing pains his first year in pinstripes, but that was to be expected. GM Brian Cashman noted that he wanted Didi to struggle a little bit as he had a lot of potential, but he still had to reach it at first. He had a .222 batting average at the end of May, but things really turned around after the All-Star break, and he finished the season with a .265, .318, .370 slash line, which was an 89 OPS plus. But on the positive side, it was the first season he graded out as a positive defender, and he was a finalist for the Gold Glove Award in the American League, but lost out to World Series champion Alcides Escobar. At this point, his biggest weakness in his game was hitting left-handed pitching, and that's something that a lot of lefties can say. Gregorius wanted to improve on this, and prior to the 2016 season, he worked with Giants hitting coach and fellow Curacaoan Hensley Mullins to go ahead and work on that approach versus left-handed pitching, and it worked. His batting average versus lefties rose by almost 100 points from .247 to .324 from 2015 to 2016. That also helped fuel his breakout offensively for the entire year as he hit .267, .304, .447, and put up his first 20 home run season, which is more than double his previous record for a season for home runs. Although he did find his power stroke after saying he just tried to hit more line drives, it just kind of naturally turned into power. It wasn't great as his 97 OPS plus was below league average and he had -8 outs above average, which was the first year StatCast started tracking that metric. However, he'd continued to build on his success, taking the lessons that he learned from going ahead and refining his approach, and although his numbers against lefties were never that good again, he was able to go ahead and extrapolate it more and build more on his offensive game. However, that had a little bit of a setback as in 2017 he was out the first month of the year after he injured his shoulder in the World Baseball Classic, but again that growth continued upon his return. That year he hit a .287, .318, .479 slash line, good for a 106 OPS plus, his first above 100 in his major league career, and also hit 25 home runs. He ranked 20th in MVP voting for the American League, and his defensive metrics were a little bit confusing to say the least. He had 7 ultimate zone rating, but -10 outs above average, which shows a little bit of discrepancy. Didi's been able to make amazing plays, but also has had some questionable ones as well. This is a great representation of just how Didi's defense can be graded out differently based on the metrics you use. He also became the first Yankee shortstop with 2 20 home run seasons back-to-back, and almost made the All-Star team, being put on the final man ballot, but lost out to Mike Moustakas in the fan vote. In what might be his most famous moment, he crushed a huge 3-run home run in the AL wildcard game against the Twins that year, which really earned him the nickname the Twin Killer. And it stuck, and it really does represent how dominant he was against the Twins. In just his 5 years with the Yankees, he had 104 at-bats against the Twins, with a .337, .304, .653 slash line to an OPS over 1,000. He had 8 home runs and 35 RBIs. He was dominant against the Twins, and whenever he came up to bat, Twins fans were scared. Didi is a very big reason why the Yankees have dominated the Twins over the past decade. Yankees fans are probably done talking about 2017, where they lost the Astros in 7 games, the ALCS, and the whole Aaron Judge MVP situation, so I'll leave it there to recuse them from any further pain because they've never had any pain in their life. Gregorius did have a red-hot start to 2018 with a .327, .422, .735 slash line through the end of April with a 1.156 OPS. He also had 10 home runs en route to winning the AL Player of the Month. He slumped after that though, hitting a 177 through mid-June, but bounced back solidly to end the season with a .268, .335, .494 slash line, which is a 124 OPS plus. He also hit another 27 home runs and again finished 20th in AL MVP voting. However, in the ALCS, he tore his UCL and had to get Tommy John surgery that offseason. Upon returning 8 months later in June 2019, he struggled to finish the season. A .238, .276, .441 slash time was good for only an 87 OPS plus and 16 home runs in just 82 games. The Yankees lost to the Astros in the ALDS, which meant Didi was heading towards free agency, and also meant that the Yankees would no longer be able to enjoy his precious victory tweets where he'd go and tweet emojis of players representative of the team whenever they won. In the 2019 offseason, the Phillies signed Didi Gregorius to a one-year, $14 million contract, and his kidney issue put him at high risk for COVID, so that entire season, instead of opting out, he decided to wear a mask through the entire thing, playing in all 60 games with a 284, 339, 488 slash line, good for a 120 OPS plus and 10 home runs on the year. That would be almost a 25 home run pace during a full season, so it seemed like things were going really well for Didi, even despite the injury a year prior. The Phillies liked what they saw, and seeing they were heading into a contention window, they re-signed Gregorius to a 2-year, $28 million contract after the shortened 2020 season. A lot of VC issues happened for players that were not born in the US because of the COVID pandemic in the 2021 season, so he had to report to spring training late, but thankfully that didn't impact his performance too much before he injured his elbow in mid-April making a catch. Thankfully he was only out for 3 games, but that swelling did come back in mid-May, and a month later he was diagnosed with pseudo-gout. He blamed the COVID-19 vaccine, but Philly area doctors refuted that claim, specifically the claim that the vaccine gave him pseudo-gout. This is not the place to talk about COVID and your opinions on it. Please don't put that in the comments, and my advice is to just go ahead and listen to the experts on the matter. Regardless, he struggled in that 2021 campaign with a 209, 270, 370 slash line, a 71 OPS plus, with only hitting 2 home runs and negative 17 outs above average at shortstop. Those struggles continued into the next season with a 210, 263, 304 slash line, giving a 61 OPS plus and negative 5 outs above average at shortstop. Where the Phillies, seeing that they're contending and Gregorius was basically dead weight at this point, cut him in August. He was playing in the Mexican League to start the 2023 campaign and was impressing, so he signed a minor league deal with the Mariners in early June, but he hit below the Mendoza line, which is a 200 batting average, and opted out 2 months later. In early 2024, he was picked 3rd overall in the Baseball United draft, which is a league based in Saudi Arabia by the Dubai Wolves, and although they haven't started playing and won't start playing until late 2024, he will be expected to be on that roster, and as of now, he's back playing in the Mexican League at only 34 years old. Yes, that's not necessarily young for a baseball player, but it's certainly not old. We've seen players play for much longer, and for Gregorius, this probably means the end. His stint with the Mariners was his last real shot, and his struggles there, significantly offensively, and his struggles defensively, means he probably doesn't have a shot at making the major leagues again. It's a bit of a somber story. The Yankees fans loved him, and replacing Derek Jeter was an impossible task. He had great success in his first year in Philadelphia, and he had a lot of potential for both the Diamondbacks and the Reds. Having a player that can give you hope and excitement, not live up to expectations with your team, but be successful with another, can hurt, but Gregorius was a fun guy to root for when he was on the field and making great plays. With the odds of him making it back to Major League Baseball incredibly low, it's time that we go ahead and look back on exactly what he did. In a couple years, it'll be a little more reminiscent, and we can see exactly the impact he's had, but for now, it looks like we're going to get Mexican League highlights, his highlights from Dubai, and whenever the next World Baseball Classic comes around, there's a good chance he'll be playing for the Netherlands in that one as well. That's all we're going to get out of Didi for now, so it's perfect time to go ahead and reflect back on exactly what he did in his time in Major League Baseball and recognize that at 999 hits, he's only 1 short. And unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be for Didi. He had the impossible task of replacing Derek Jeter, and he did it. Yankees fans loved him, and it's not easy to win over a crowd in New York. Didi's contributions to New York and to Philadelphia for a year, and to both Arizona and Cincinnati, won't be forgotten by these teams' fan bases, and it'll be great to see him go ahead and continue on his life. Yes, he is only 1 hit shy of 1,000, but that doesn't mean he's not a good player, and someone that we should look back on fondly. Yes, he doesn't have the best stats defensively and isn't the best offensive contributor either, but baseball is more than that. Baseball is a feeling. You get connected to players not only because they're great on the field, but because you feel their energy and excitement, and Gregorius was that guy. He could contribute so much to a team in the locker room and be a leader, and that's really what can win not only fans, but players over. Gregorius will be a great example of what you can do to go ahead and replace a superstar, and he did it with style. Yankees fans will be forever grateful for what he did after replacing Derek Jeter, and I think we can all agree that we can only wish the best for him as he continues his career outside of Major League Baseball. Thank you again for watching this video all the way through. It really means a lot. There'll be 2 videos on the screen. If you're interested in either of them, please go ahead and hit them, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you will. It really means a lot. It helps me grow and helps you get more content like this as well. Thank you again for watching to the end, and I hope to see you in the next video.